Valtteri Bottas will be starting the 12th on their last visit here, and it's Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen on the front row in the sprint. George Russell starts 4th alongside Carlos Sainz, Ferrari 3 and 2 on 100th Grand Prix start today from 6th. Sergio Perez 5th for Red Bull, he starts 9th, and ahead of them comes Lewis Hamilton 8th and Kevin Magnussen 7th. The others is 10th, first time in the last 6 races here. The McLaren haven't been in the top 5. 13th and Lance Stroll in 12th, moved up 5 places in the Norris off the road. Pierre Gasly starts 14th. Podium sitters have come 6 times. And ahead of these two, Yuki Tsunoda and Alex Albon, who lost 4 places in the sprint and Pekine after he didn't start yesterday. Sebastian Vettel then starts 18th alongside Nicholas Latifi for pit lane power unit penalties, and they changed his rear wing. They've changed the power unit on Fernando Alonso. Then at tyre management as a strategy up and down the grid here, where
under pressure.
I was just going to say, what can Ferrari do then? Instead of
yesterday saying, I think we'll have him tomorrow, i.e. today, and he was so...
The early time when the gates opened here, the biggest ticketed event in Austria, and saying that we will speak to those that have been affected, we will sort out the problem, and we will...
Today. And it reminded me just how unsighted so many of the corners are. And
Charles Leclerc starts on the front row, never won when he hasn't started on pole. For the Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel and the Alpine of Fernando Alonso make the... It's alongside Carlos Sainz into turn 1 we go. It's Verstappen from Sergio Perez, and they touch, and Perez is spun round and off into the gravel, and you get...
Happy with that, but once again, the perfect getaway for Verstappen.
And Schumacher, then comes Ricardo Norris, Stroll up to 11th, Gasly, Albon, Joe and...
At the back of the field now, a long way back, and presumably he's in the pit lane. Perez slow.
A few drivers have to go and see the stewards for starting procedure infringements. It was has already pulled over a second clear of Charles Leclerc, so he's out of DRS threat for the time being. Getting close to Lewis Hamilton into turn 4, can't get past under the
corner. Had he earned the right to space on the outside? And therefore, was he given it?
Charles Leclerc has got the gap down to under 1 second out in front. Lewis Hamilton under...
Really perfect start. The Red Bull, they've aced that, haven't they? And then Leclerc straight into his slipstream. There's Russell up the inside. Sainz braves it out across the runoff area. Comes back on with great speed. Got away with that one by the looks of it. And we're going to see... I'm sure I saw somebody with him. It's a tough one for the stewards. Because I think both drivers have got a fair case there.
Went right off the road at turn 1 before coming back, and still being ahead.
It ends up ahead into the next corner. Well, we'll see what the stewards say. It's so difficult to read the stewards at the moment.
It is consistency, isn't it? Because he's leading a race here. He's moved into the top 10 now for consecutive front of him.
Yeah, I mean, and the Haas has cruised up and past. It works Mercedes, but...
You let him run in some clearer air, as they did at Aston Martin with Sebastian Vettel.
He can match.
Out now at turn 3, and on the run down to turn 4 there's more DRS for the Ferrari and Charles Leclerc with the leaders, but not in the way he anticipated.
And Ted told us he got bodywork damage as well. But
a degradation we shall see as Charles Leclerc comes at him once more, accelerating to have a chance of an overtake.
Yeah, the trouble is for Charles, if you do sort of...
As it is at the moment, that will be able to just stretch him when we get towards sort of the
Up right now, because Verstappen's held on to the lead, and he's going to try and force Leclerc the long way round. Leclerc
cannot hold as long.
Understood, Max.
And that just sounds like Max would like to down at turn 4. We'll go to Ted Kravitz in a couple of moments, but it's a short lap here. Be down towards turn 4, late braking with Charles Leclerc, can't get past Verstappen. Will head
there. George, who's going to take his penalty now, maybe go onto the hard tyre, or Lewis, who's
at Max Verstappen. So they brought George Russell in. He'll serve that 5-second time penalty. Expecting Charles Leclerc to come down the inside. That was a
darting about in his mirrors, but he certainly left the door open, and Leclerc walked straight through him.
Brilliant car control.
He's got a nice watching brief there as well, but Leclerc then is going to have to really back.
I think these cooler conditions have changed the face of the balance of...
Back out on the hard tyre in 8th place behind Lando Norris.
He is, but he's also then...
Heat of yesterday's sprint, but is Mick Schumacher starting to struggle on his tyres a bit, and it's Hamilton trying to drive. It's getting warned for track limits. You exceed it 3 times, then you get shown the black and white mile an hour extra speed because of the DRS, and that very much helps him to clear not one, but brand new, currently occupying the final points place with Fernando Alonso in in 11th, but that Haas has a bit of pace there ahead of Max Verstappen.
Yeah, an eye on this corner by corner, sector by sector.
Would you say on lap 16 with an awful...
Very strict on the track limits. Do not go over those.
Now comes in for Haas. So plenty of early stoppers here, having to go very to the track ahead of Kevin Magnussen. So stopping Esteban Ocon.
Hamilton, and this is for position, of course. There'll be no blue flags.
Those tyres.
He'll fight it like crazy, whether he's got an answer or not to the straight line speed of the race.
At a turn 3, they are wheel to wheel before they head to the braking zone into turn 4. And
it's 16 seconds to go down the pit lane. Pit lane speed, 50 miles an hour, 80 km.
Taken Max on track once with Charles Leclerc, so we'll hang it out for a bit longer. Or do they come in now to cover off any potential need for an overtake?
Well, I think you're absolutely right.
With the ECU, electrical problems, and his car just couldn't get off the grid, and making Max Verstappen. Now he's got those hard compound tyres nicely warmed up. Sonoda
Ferrari garage, so if you're going to one stop, the earliest you can do it, probably lap 20 flag. Have we mentioned
yes,
that?
Yes, he has. There's so many picking up track limits at the moment.
Limits.
Mick Schumacher, having made his pit stop, coming out behind Lando Norris, is making up for time, and into turn 3 through A, B, C and D already at Ferrari, or was this part of the plan all along? On Lewis Hamilton, after Ocon has pitted, should just look at that gap.
Is the net leader when the Ferraris stop. The Ferraris are coming up towards...
Nice drive down towards turn 4. Joe thought he had him covered. He hasn't got him. Hamilton.
Just disrupt Red Bull today. That's what they've got to do. But
Sonoda, Joe and Alonso, but here comes Sonoda. He's got DRS to try and get away into the corner, but Alonso, the most experienced driver on the grid, is giving
Fernando Alonso, because he had a slow exit. Well, there's 3 abreast now. Extraordinary.
Kevin does go off the road as he now tries to get past Kevin Magnussen. So
Lost 4 places with it.
Alonso and Zhou Guanyu haven't seen more lap times deleted for exceeding track limits here than I ever have before.
To be clear, when you have a lap deleted, it's a lap time deleted. What it's basically saying is actually that it's the lap after this gets deleted. We got caught out on this before, didn't we?
Exactly.
It's the lap after.
6/10 quicker than Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc stops.
Full of 2 stopping from lap 13 on the change, and this very much.
As we can't run at the pace that we want to dictate for the next few laps. Ted, back down to you as
behind the not yet stopped Lewis Hamilton. So
Macca, and as you can see, that's the McLaren of Lando Norris that he has cleared up into turn 3.